before about our Shaw ministry, prayer Shaws. So this fits under that. When I first retired, I was looking for something, and I filled in with several volunteer activities since, but if I have conflicts, I have a tendency to lean towards veteran services and transporting a vet to their appointments. With that in mind, about 3 months ago, Donna actually gets a call from Amanda that there was a lady here that was looking for a ride to doctor's appointments for her and her husband. And it made sense to bring the calendar down, meet her, try to figure out if that was something I could do or not. And her name's Rita. It happened to work out that it was that following Friday to go to Jackson. Jackson's maybe a little further than I would have probably thought about going at first, but it was like, okay, I can do that. It's not too bad. And of course, when you get in the vehicle, you start kind of talking, even if you are strangers. So her husband's name's Norman. Norman's the one really with the health issues, but they both had this doctor they go to see. A couple weeks later, there's an appointment in Union City at a doctor. Things went so-so. Could tell that particularly Norman was a little upset. But they sent him to the cancer center there in Union City. So that third appointment, going to the cancer center, he was very upset when he came out and shared that they had found a mass in his stomach and some fluid in his stomach. And both they were concerned about, and that particularly there at the cancer center, they said there was no doubt the mass was cancer. They just didn't know for sure with what information they had how big, and they didn't know about the fluids, so they wanted to do a colonoscopy to find out what all was going on to kind of figure out how they were going to treat. Well, that following Wednesday, I asked Sue for a prayer Shaw, took to them, and then the colonoscopy appointment. As they come out, Norman's visibly looks like he's feeling better, a little more upbeat. On the way home that day, he told me that the mass was gone and that they had biopsied the fluid to see what it was. They weren't overly concerned with the fluid. But then he shared that when he used the prayer Shaw, he just felt a certain comfort, and that morning, he felt he had passed the Mass. And they would like to believe, and I think I agree with them, that between the prayers over the prayer Shaw and the prayers of the family, that God took the Mass, and that's why he's cancer-free. Now we're working on a gallbladder, possible Parkinson's, and extreme cataracts, which I get the opportunity to take him to the eye doctor tomorrow to find out what's happening with that. So it's going to be interesting to see how God works the rest of this, because there's no doubt in my mind he's got a plan for Norman, and that's why he's still with us and still working on these other afflictions. So, thank you.
Good morning. These past 2 weeks, I have had the honor of being a table leader at this face-to-face. I want to encourage everyone that's over 60, if you've never been to a face-to-face, you really need to try it. It's just 4 meetings. It's a Tuesday and Thursday, and a Tuesday and Thursday, and that's it. From 9 to 3 on Tuesday, 9 to 3 on Thursday. There's no pressure. There's no rush. Everything is just all planned out for you. You sit down and God takes over. I want to tell you, we found so many things just wonderful things that happened. You take 5 people. I was really blessed. I knew 3 of them out of my 5. But the God story is you don't really know those people like you thought you did. You know that they worked here, they retired from here, they've got these many kids. You don't know their heart. You haven't seen, you haven't heard their stories. And the beautiful thing is these hearts open up. And these people, they trust in God. And God goes through and he opens up hearts. I saw more beautiful things happening in that room. There's the God story. We started out, we came from all over the place. There were Martin, Fulton, Clinton. But we were all children of God, and we all felt that when we left. It was incredible. It was just, stop. I'm getting choked up. It's just beautiful. I don't cry easy, but it was a real piece of cake during face-to-face because there's extreme trust, extreme grace. And I have been on the walk to Emmaus, and that was back in '96, and I felt the power of God then. And it turned me around, and I just wanted to bring the world on the Emmaus Walk. Now I want to bring the retired world onto face-to-face. This encounter is priceless. And it opens your heart. It opened ours. There's something I will never forget. It was just beautiful. I hope all of you can take advantage of this, and you'll have your own God story. Thank you.
So my story is how I became a Methodist. I was raised First Christian with my mother, on and off, and Lutheran with my father. They don't really combine very well, but when my husband and I got together, we went to the First Christian Church for a while, and then we slowly moved away from church completely. At one point, Keith did a survey for a job. It was 4 life parts. 3 of them had something for everything. We were very full in those parts. But when it came to religion, we had nothing, except we were both baptized. That's the only thing we really had. And our oldest son, Jeremy, was about 3.5, and we were talking about Jesus, and he said, "Who's Jesus?" And I said, "Oops, I guess I have not been a good mother." And so we started looking. And I mean, when we started looking. We went to numerous churches. We were in Omaha, Nebraska at that time. So a big metropolitan area, over 150,000 people. Well, actually, 500,000 people, sorry. And we went to a Greek Orthodox church. That's really wild. And the sermon, luckily, was in English. Everything else was in Greek. And we went to a Lutheran church, because I thought, I'll go back to my roots. Well, they had a parent room right in the middle of their sanctuary that was soundproof, and the service was piped into them. It was a playroom. It wasn't a place to be worshiping in. It was a playroom. And we went to the Presbyterian, and I was like, there's the church. That's the one I want to go to. And Keith said, well, let's try the Methodist. So we went to the First United Methodist Church in Omaha. Our oldest called it the church with the swords on top, because the thin crosses on top looked like his Ninja Turtle swords. So he was already enthralled. They had daycare, so our middle son, who's here, because he was the youngest at that point in time, got to go down to play. And we kept the oldest with us. We went one Sunday only, because that was what we were doing. That week later, I was flipping through the cable channels, and suddenly I stopped at one, and it was a big shield up on a wall, and then they pulled back to the pastor, and he started his sermon. My 3.5-year-old goes, "There's our church." And I said, "Oh, okay, 2 against 1. I guess we'll be Methodists." We then proceeded to move to Western Nebraska. We're the only ones with children in the Methodist Church, but it was so much fun. We moved to Vermont, and the first words out of the pastor and the choir director's mouths were, "We hear you can sing." So that got 28 years of being theirs. And then the first Sunday, Sherry asked us to come here. And of course, I make a grand entrance because I had fallen and had raccoon eyes and a broken kneecap, and so I was well noticed. And I said, "Oh, this church is too big. It has a choir, but it's too big, because I was coming from a church that we usually had maybe 15 people at. The next week, we went to South Fulton. Beautiful church, lovely people. I physically got sick there. I could not handle the service. I got nauseous, I got overheated, everything. And so the following Sunday, we came back here, and I felt like I was coming home, because number one, Sydney first sees me and says, "Oh, you're back. When are you joining choir?" And it's like later. But we actually that was in March. We became members of this church in May, and we haven't looked back since. Last year, if nothing proved that you were our family, was that one, we were gone for 11 weeks. During that time, we get a call from Steve going, "Are you ever coming back?" And then shortly thereafter, I get a text from Pat going, "Don't forget you read." And it's like, "Yes, I know, that's when we're going to be back." And now she tells me I can't leave unless I get her approval. Sorry, I'm leaving in August. And to back up Pat's words, I wanted to do face-to-face, and since it was here in our church, I thought, perfect opportunity. I didn't force Keith to, but he decided a few weeks after I had filled out the forms to do it himself. And it was wonderful. I was coming from the first week trying to sing, because there's singing through it all and that. I had bruised my ribs on vacation, so it was a little hard to sing, but I made a semi-joyful noise. And like said, if you went away hungry, you weren't looking at the food. It was wonderful, especially Harry. It was just absolutely, I got to a point where I had to limit myself and that. And the last day was so touching. We were given crosses, and this is our cross. And on the back of it says, "Christ is counting on you." And the comeback was, "I'm counting on Christ." So I'm counting on Christ to hold us all in his loving arms. Thank you.
Good morning. The verse of the day on the Bible app is Ephesians 2:10. For we are God's masterpiece. He created us anew in Christ Jesus so we can do the good things he planned for us long ago. And about a week ago, I was having lunch with a friend, and we were talking about a song that is based on this verse. And the first 2 lines of the song are, "I know who I am because I know who you are." And I love this song. And I was telling her how those 2 lines center me. When I'm having a bad day, they just, those, I can hear those and I'm centered. And the next line is, "The cross of salvation was only the start." And that line takes me back to the moment my dad went home to be with the Lord. Now, when Robert talks about when my dad went home, he says it was the most beautiful moment he'd ever seen. He thought it was beautiful, and I've always thought, well, I miss that, because I was grieving immediately. There was sorrow, but there was also thankfulness. And that's what I was telling my friend, that I was so thankful for that salvation. But last Friday, when I was telling her that, I told it in a different way. I told her that it wasn't just that somehow it went from my head to my heart. It was already in my heart. But it was like it completely filled me up, that the truth overtook me. And so a few days later, I was pondering the way I described it to her. And I realized that I didn't miss Jesus in that moment. That feeling that I had, that was him filling me up with the truth. And so that when I realized that, I just realized that I didn't miss it. That it was a beautiful moment, that he's at peace now. And I am thankful for that salvation was only the start, because he has created us anew to do good things. So that brings me to Emmaus. In the spring, I was asked to be the lay director for the Women's Walk in the fall. And I had every reason not to do it. I'm like, oh, I've got to take care of Mom. What if something happens? What if my back is not better by then? I haven't been in Emmaus that long. I don't think I'm holy enough, quite frankly, to do this. But I realized that God had given me a gift. And I had a choice in that moment. Was I going to take it or not? And I'm taking it. I'm the lay director. Pastor Sue is the spiritual director. Kimberly is an assistant spiritual director. And Casey is our musical director. So there will be a lot of Methodists on this walk. You've already heard today about face-to-face. If you listen to the first service, you heard a little bit about face-to-face there too. It is the Emmaus Walk is hard to describe, but it is a time for renewing and remembering who you are and what you're here for. And I would love to invite all of you to come. Face-to-face is supposed to be like 65 and older. Emmaus doesn't have an age limit. It doesn't matter how young, well, it does young. You have to be 18 or older to go on the walk. But there's chrysalis for our teenagers. 18 or older, as long as you can get around, you are welcome to come. The men's walk, which Robert will be on and James will be on, is September 13th. The 10th through the 13th. And the women's walk is September 17th through the 20th. So if you are interested, if you would like to be sponsored, let one of us know. And let Pastor Sue know, Kimberly, Casey, Pat, who has done anything with Emmaus, face-to-face or a walk. All of these people here could sponsor you. So just let them know. Thank you.
Well, good morning, I guess. Okay. In Ecclesiastes 3:1, it says, "For everything there is a season and a time for every matter under heaven." It goes on to say, "There's a time to weep, and a time to laugh, a time to mourn, and a time to dance." When my stepdad Jason died by suicide, our family entered a season we never expected. It was a season of grief, confusion, heartbreak, and many unanswered questions. There were days when simply putting one foot in front of the other felt difficult. Like many families affected by a mental illness and suicide, we learned firsthand how important support, understanding, and community can be. Out of that painful season, God began planting a seed. I went to my mom with an idea to do something that could help others. I wanted to bring awareness to mental health struggles and connect people with resources before they reached a crisis point. I wanted our family's pain to become a source of hope for someone else. Be the Reason Someone Smiles Today was something Jason had written over at the Willingham Center, along with a passage in Thessalonians that says, "Rejoice always, pray continually, and give thanks in all circumstances." I ran with the Be the Reason Someone Smiles Today idea. At first, it seemed like a small idea, but God has a way of taking small seeds and growing them into something much bigger than we imagined. This year, that vision became reality through the mental health awareness event in Fulton. We hoped people would come, but we were overwhelmed when approximately 75 people showed up. More importantly, organizations, agencies, churches, and regional resources came together to support the event. They showed up and showed out. What we witnessed that day was beautiful. We saw people having conversations about mental health without shame. We saw community members gathering information for loved ones. We saw professionals sharing resources. And we saw neighbors supporting neighbors. And we saw people willing to say, "You are not alone." There was a time for mourning after a loss. There was a time for tears. There was a time for questions and healing. But God did not leave us there. In His grace, He brought us into a new season, a season where our story could help others, a season where grief could be transformed into purpose, a season where awareness could lead to hope. The pain of losing someone, it never completely disappears. We still miss Jason every day, but God has shown us that even in our deepest sorrows, He continues to work. He can take broken places and use them to bless others. No one should walk their mental health struggles alone. Help is available, hope is available, and sometimes the most important thing we can do is simply show up for one another. And that's just what we all did on Saturday, June 13th. Just as the community showed up for this event, we are called to show up for those who are hurting, struggling, grieving, or feeling isolated. Ecclesiastes reminds us that life is made up of many seasons. Some seasons are joyful and some are incredibly difficult. Yet, through every season, God remains faithful. My mom says that she could see now that what became as a season of mourning became an opportunity for ministry. What began with loss became a chance to bring awareness. What began with heartbreak began a way to offer hope. I am grateful to everyone who attended, volunteered, shared resources, and supported this event. Together, we sent a message that mental health matters, people matter, and hope matters. There truly is a time for everything under heaven, and I believe this is a time for our community to continue breaking this stigma, sharing resources, supporting one another, and reminding those who struggle that they are loved and they are never alone.
So proud of all of you for sharing. But that Kylie got me going, so amen. So, yes, sir. I'm so sorry. I thought she was last. I'm so sorry. Oh, yes. David, Stayed here this morning, I believe. Yes, yes. Good morning. I didn't mean to step over you, hon. I thought that Kylie was last, but now I'm ready up here, though. We're so glad that you're going to share. Mr. Davis is going to come and share with us. Y'all pray for him as he comes.
David Anthony Polk, Sr. I graduated from South Fulton High School in 1989. But I was born in Chicago, Illinois. And as a child, I come from Chicago to Los Angeles, California to South Fulton every summer. It was a big difference from the city life as a child to growing up. I played football at South Fulton, run track, played basketball. But also, I was a regular at Fulton County Jail. In my history, but just want to get basically like two testimonies in one. And listen.
I can hear you, but everybody can't hear you.
Okay. All right. Testing. All right. All right. Like I said, I was born in Chicago, Illinois, in 1971. And then I went from Chicago to Los Angeles, California, to South Fulton, Tennessee. I graduated high school in 1989. All right. And through my lifestyle, I was raised in church. Going to church, I had to go to church and had to go to Sunday school, or either I might get a whooping. But anyway, so as I strayed from church, as long as I stayed on the South Fulton side, I stayed out of trouble. Once I moved to the Fulton side, it seemed like I just kept being around the wrong people in wrong places and stuff, and ended up getting in trouble. But through coming up in time, even though I was the type of person in school, I might make an F, but I always knew I was smart. But I go from an F to an A. You know what I'm saying? I get an F and then I end up studying and getting an A. But so I ended up was the type to end up getting around the wrong people in wrong places and end up getting in trouble. So I became like I'm being in jail, Fulton County Jail, O'Brien County Jail, Weeki County Jail. I would go to jail so much if I wasn't going. I got to a point that when I was in jail, I remember all the TV shows and every brick in every cell. And so it got to a point, I say once I got to go in jail, and the last time I went to jail was about 10 years ago. I'm in prison. I just got through with a 20-year sentence. And I had 20 years in Kentucky and 12 years in Tennessee at the exact same time. So through getting in trouble, I got tired of just got to a point. I got sick and tired of getting sick and tired. And through one of my incarceration, I went to a SAP program. And I said, man, this is getting old right here. And being honest, I was going to jail for selling drugs. And just being honest. I work a job, quit a job, work a job, quit a job. So I said, how can I stay out of jail? Man, how can I stay out of jail? Because I'm tired of this food in here. And I seen a guy when I was locked up in Kentucky. He had 5 life sentences. And he ended up getting each sentence he got 4 years for reckless homicide. So he ended up getting all the sentences down to 20 years, and he ended up getting out. But I was going to church in prison. I was going to college in prison. And I've been in Kentucky and Tennessee prison. So I went to got a small engine trade, and I just kept trying to better myself, even though I was incarcerated. And I got to a point where I said, man, I'm doing better in prison than I was doing on the street. Most people do worse in prison than they do on the streets. Yeah, but I consider myself doing better in prison than I was on the street. So I said, I got to learn how to take this. If I can work for 17 cents a day in prison or $2 a day, I can get on the streets and work and stay out. I'm trying to get out and stay out. So I said, so just as good I get ready to stay out. And I said, I'm going to go to cosmetology school in Paducah. So I was going to school, and this is back in, I got out of prison in 2017. And by, April 20th, 2017, and I was in college in West Kentucky Community Technical College in cosmetology school in April of 2018. 2017, and I was out for like a year or so, and only had like, I had a year in Kentucky. You gotta have like 1,800 hours. Well, at one time you had to have like 1,800 hours to get your cosmetology degree. So I was looking for a better way to do something with my life, and so I said cosmetology school. So I had like 1,000 hours in May 20th, 2018, and school was out. But you know, you could go to hair shows and still get credit for school. So just being a man of color, I want to do something different with my life, trying to lead by example in this community. So I say, okay, maybe if not only do just black people hair, I want to do black people hair, white people hair. At that point, if I could do a dog or a cat hair, I just want to do something different with my life. So I did. I had 1,000 hours in May 20, 2018 in South Fulton, Tennessee on Bay Street. Somebody come in, 2 guys come in ski masks and kicked in my daddy's door. And I got shot 17 times. By the grace of God, I'm still here. And we finna have, remember I said about cosmetology school, the school was out. And I said, man, I'm born in Chicago. And then I lived in LA, 2 of the worst cities in the United States. And then in little South Fulton, Tennessee, I got shot. I feel like I got shot more than anybody in the whole United States. And I was trying to ask myself why. And then, so I went from, even though I got shot 17 times, my adrenaline was pumping so fast that when I got shot, being honest, I didn't feel it. To the 17th shot, it hit me right here in my handcuffs trying to get out the door. And it just seemed like when a person hit a funny bone, it gets your attention. That's how it felt. So I said, man, if I don't start trying to get away, these guys ain't gonna never stop shooting me. So I just went and I submitted. And then I know they thought crazy because part of the time they shoot me, I just stood like this, just looking at them, like kind of like I was Superman for a minute. But I knew I wouldn't. But the reality of it, I seen fire coming from the guns. And I'm like, man, I'm getting shot for real. And like I said, this last shot, the 17th shot was in his arm, my hand right here. I'm like, man, I didn't know what to do. So after that point, the guys, after they shoot me, they shot me so many times, I guess they thought I was dead. So I started playing dead. So I just laid there and just, with my eyes closed. And I just literally and I peeked like this and seen guys going at the door. It was crazy, which I ain't trying to hold everybody up. I want everybody to know in this community. They started going at the door like this, backwards, with their guns drawn. Because they said, man, this dude just ain't dying. So I said all that to say this. And then once I got up, I ran in Bay Street. I don't know if people are familiar with Fulton and South Fulton, but on Bay Street, you can go like up going toward 3Ks and make a left. That's Bay Street, the street to the left. So in this house, it's close to the railroad tracks. So I went to an officer. Only thing I could think said, man, I'm getting shot up. I got, they gone, but I didn't know if they're gonna double back and try to finish me off. So once I went to once on the railroad tracks, I just walked. I had one shoe on. I had a white shirt. From my understanding, I had a white T-shirt on with some green and black pajama pants, but my whole T-shirt was red, turned white to red. I'm like, I know I'm shot, but at the same time, I kind of want to look and see what it looked like, because I always used to wonder what it's like to go to the penitentiary, and I went. I used to wonder what it was like to go get shot, but I went, and I went. But for one, with the time, I didn't want to go, for all the movies and stuff I seen on TV. I was interested in the negative. So, but at the same time, I'm trying to be positive because I want to go to prison, spend the time that I spent, and I want to get shot as many times as I could. Because if I could just did like 1 year in prison just for maybe a scared straight program, and maybe got shot one time, maybe I've been all right. But to get shot, have 12 years in Kentucky, and 20 years in Kentucky and 12 years in Tennessee at the same time, I'm like, oh my goodness. And then to get shot 17 times, I'm like, man, this more than Scarface and Superman put together. So I just felt my testimony today is I know I was raised in church, but the times like that I had to learn at a young age, I believed that Jesus Christ died on the cross and rose from the dead. So I knew whatever I go through in life, I know once I experience that at a young age, I knew that I'd go through something in life because I know that the devil didn't have me. And I know, just like in Job, like God and the devil was like they was negotiating. You try my servant Job, and I actually felt like I was Job in the South Fulton area, but he put these bullet holes and bullet wounds. It's like, but he didn't take me. He didn't let me go because I know he got something greater for me to do. So now, I'll just say this. I walk, even though he get shot 17 times, I went about 1.5 miles down the railroad tracks. Bloody shirt, arm broke like this, and one shoe on, and one sock on, one sock off, going down the railroad tracks. And I walked to an officer, y'all probably know him, Travis Bowe, and I went to his house because I figured police, thugs, get them, being honest, to get them in so they could let them go ahead and save some of them bullets, know where they could protect me. So next thing I know, when I go to his house, I knock on the door. I say, "It's David Pope. It's David Pope. I've been shot." I said that, and then I'm knocking on the door. I heard a K-down. And next thing I know, I said it again. But the next time I said it, I ran, "David Pope, I've been shot." So I lay down, got all these bullet wounds on me now, and then thugs done shot me. I'm finna think the police gonna shoot me too, because I'm at their door in the middle of the night, knocking on the door. I said, man, this man. And then not only that, once they get me on the ambulance at his house, they pulling bullets out of me. And I'm on the ambulance, on West Street in Fulton. Let me see what street, but West Street, and they pulling him, Mr. Bogue and Mayo was pulling bullets out of me. Next thing I know, I heard somebody sound like more machine gun shots, like that. And they ducking. It was paranoid. But and that night, to end my testimony, is like I took one ambulance they were gonna take me to Memphis, but for some reason it was a storm in the sky that brought helicopter back down off the airbag, and then I caught an ambulance from from Jackson. Let me see. Yeah, from South Fulton to my bad, excuse me, I got a little nervous. Look, anyway, I caught an ambulance from helicopter from South Fulton to going toward Memphis, but they come down and they put me on the ambulance to go to Jackson. And then I caught another airbag from Jackson to Vanderbilt. All in one night. And by this time, I know I should have been bled out. But I know God had his hands on me. But my personal self, I kind of, after I get all the gunshots, I had even though, I've heard peace in the storm, I felt like he was with me. But but the doctors looking at I wasn't gonna make it. But I'm here to say today, I know that God with me. And he just want me to do better. So I told myself, look, I got to come to church and I need help. And I ain't ashamed to say that I know that he's with me. I'm striving to do better. I stay out here in society for one. I did enough jail. I had enough gunshots, you know what I'm saying, for a lifetime. So all I'm asking to do is stay out of jail and just, if please don't try to shoot me, just hit me with a bat or something. But I'm thankful, and I know God is good. I want to share that with y'all. All right.